The sun rises wrong today. It's been rising wrong for weeks now, blood orange through the sulfur haze that's been building over Pangaea. You're standing at the edge of what will one day be called Russia, but right now it's just the place where the killing grounds meet the sea. 252 million years before humans will walk this earth, you're witnessing a choice no creature should have to make. A Lystrosaurus family emerges from their burrow 50 meters from where you observe. The parents' tusks are worn down to nubs from desperate digging. Their piglet-sized bodies shake as they sniff the air. They know what you know. The land has become a death trap. But unlike every instinct encoded in their DNA for millions of years, today they're heading toward the water. Behind them, the reason becomes clear. The ground itself is wrong. Where grassland should wave in the morning breeze, there's just cracked earth littered with bones. The Peltospermaceae forests that once dotted this landscape stand like skeletal fingers. Their leaves gone 3 weeks ago when the temperature spiked past 45 degrees Celsius for the 5th time this month. But it's the silence that tells you everything. No insects buzz, no small reptiles scurry. Even the wind seems afraid to move. The entire ecosystem is holding its breath, waiting for the next horror to unfold. The Lystrosaurus mother makes a sound. Not quite a squeal, not quite a bark. It's the sound of a creature that evolution never prepared for this moment. She's calling her offspring to follow her into the waves. For 50 million years, her ancestors avoided deep water. Their stubby legs, their dense bones, everything about them screams land animal. Yet here they are, walking into the ancient Tethys Sea. You understand why when you see the tracks in the mud. Fresh, deep. The spacing tells you the predator was running. The claw marks say Inostrancevia. The blood trail says it already fed this morning, but that never stopped them before. In this new world, the Gorgonopsids don't kill for hunger anymore. They kill because dying prey is the only thing that still makes sense. The water is murky, warm, far warmer than any ocean should be. But as the Lystrosaurus family disappears beneath the surface, their awkward swimming somehow more graceful than their final days on land, you realize something that will define the next million years of life on Earth. When the land becomes hell, even drowning starts to look like heaven. The water burns your eyes, not from salt, but from acids that shouldn't exist in any ocean. The pH has dropped so low that shells are dissolving while their owners still live inside them. Yet, as you descend into the murky depths of the Panthalassa Ocean, following that desperate Lystrosaurus family, you understand why this acidic tomb has become a refuge. Down here, nothing is actively trying to kill you. The sharks that remain are shadows of their ancestors. A Helicompodus glides past, barely 2 meters long, its teeth designed for soft flesh, not the thick hide of therapsids. It investigates the swimming Lystrosaurus with ancient instinct, circles once, then moves on. These ocean predators haven't learned to hunt land creatures. They don't recognize the opportunity. But the ocean isn't peaceful. It's dying in slow motion. Where coral reefs once painted the seafloor in brilliant colors, there's now only white skeletal remains, like underwater graveyards. The acidification has turned the calcium carbonate into paste. You watch a trilobite, one of Earth's oldest success stories, survivors of 270 million years, trying to molt. Its shell cracks wrong, soft where it should be hard. It will be dead within hours, another casualty of chemistry gone mad. The Lystrosaurus family swims deeper, their movements increasingly frantic. They're not built for this. Their dense bones want to sink. Their small lungs scream for air every 30 seconds. The mother surfaces, gasps, dives again. Each time, she stays under a little less. Each time, her children struggle more to follow. But then something remarkable happens. They find it. A ledge, just 3 meters down, where volcanic vents have created a pocket of slightly cooler water. It's not comfortable. It's not safe. But it's survivable. The family clings to rocks with their clawed feet, heads breaking the surface to breathe, bodies submerged enough to avoid the killing heat above. Around them, you see others who've made the same desperate calculation. A small Proterosuchid, normally a semi-aquatic predator, now fully committed to the water. Its crocodilian body adapts quickly, but you can see its ribs. It hasn't eaten in weeks. There's nothing left to hunt that isn't toxic with sulfur compounds. A school of ancient fish, primitive things with barely developed jaws, swim past in perfect formation. Then, without warning, they go belly up. All of them, simultaneously. The oxygen dead zone has shifted with the current, and they swam right into it. Their bodies will sink into the abyss, joining millions of others in what scientists will one day call the black shale event. Layers of death so thick they'll still be visible in rock formations 250 million years later. Yet the Lystrosaurus mother continues her vigil, holding her position on the ledge. She's made her choice. Better to slowly starve in the water than quickly burn on land. The ocean offers no food, no comfort, no future. But it offers the one thing the land no longer can: time. 3 weeks have passed since the Great Migration to the sea began. From your vantage point on a rocky outcrop, you watch something that should be impossible: a gorgonopsid learning to swim. It's not Inostrancevia, but its smaller cousin Saurochtonus, normally a land predator the size of a wolf. Hunger has driven it to the shallows where dying things gather. Its powerful legs, designed for running down prey across vast plains, now paddle awkwardly through the surf. The sight would be comical if it weren't so desperate. The predator has been watching the Lystrosaurus family for days. Every low tide, when they're forced closer to shore, it gets bolder. Today, it's finally committed. The water reaches its chest, and you can see its eyes, wide with an instinctive terror of drowning, but wider still with starvation. The Lystrosaurus mother sees it too. She's lost weight, her ribs showing through skin that's begun to develop strange sores from the acidic water, but she still positions herself between the predator and her young. One of her offspring is already gone. It disappeared 2 nights ago. Whether to currents or something worse, she'll never know. The Saurochtonus lunges. In the water, its movement is clumsy, telegraphed. The Lystrosaurus family scatters, their stubby legs finding purchase on submerged rocks. The predator's jaws snap shut on nothing but caustic seawater. It gags, retreats, circles back. But it's learning. Each attempt gets closer. The gorgonopsid is figuring out how water changes movement, how refraction lies about distance, how to use the tide to its advantage. This is evolution in real time, not through generations, but through desperate intelligence. On the beach behind it, you notice something else. Tracks, dozens of them. Other predators have been watching this experiment. If the Saurochtonus succeeds, they'll follow. The ocean's sanctuary is about to be breached. A therocephalian, Moscarinus by its size, emerges from the dead forest. Its jaw is swollen on one side, infected from a fight or failed hunt. It can barely open its mouth, can't hunt effectively on land anymore. It watches the Saurochtonus with the calculated patience of a predator that knows it's running out of options. The water itself fights back against these invaders. Their fur, yes, many had primitive fur, mats with salt and sulfur compounds. Their eyes, evolved for tracking movement through clear air, struggle with the murky soup the ocean has become. Some wade in too deep and discover what the Lystrosaurus learned weeks ago: the dead zones move, invisible and lethal. By sunset, the Saurochtonus gives up. Not from failure, but from exhaustion. It collapses on the beach, sides heaving, tongue lolling. The effort of swimming, of fighting the water itself, has burned more calories than it could hope to gain from any catch. But tomorrow it will try again, and the day after. Because on land, the temperature just hit 48 degrees Celsius, and even predators are starting to cook in their own skins. You find it by accident, a valley that shouldn't exist. Hidden between 2 mountain ridges in what will one day be South Africa, a microclimate has formed. Here, impossibly, a forest still lives. Not thrives, lives. The Glossopteris trees stand like tired soldiers, their leaves half gone, their trunks scarred by heat. But morning mist still gathers here, trapped by the valley walls. Rain still falls, maybe once a week. It's enough, barely enough. This is where you discover how the large herbivores have survived. Not in the water, not in burrows, but in these scattered pockets of dying paradise. A herd of Scutosaurus has claimed this valley, and their presence changes everything you thought you knew about the end of the world. These walking tanks, each weighing as much as a small car, have developed a system. They've divided the valley into sections, rotating their grazing to let vegetation recover. They've dug wallows near the stream, creating mud baths that provide cooling and parasite protection. They've learned to strip bark only from alternating sides of trees, keeping them alive longer. It's agricultural planning by creatures that won't invent agriculture for another 250 million years. The alpha, identified by scars and a missing shoulder spike, stands guard while others feed. His eyes never stop moving. He knows what you know. This valley is a beacon for every surviving predator within 50 kilometers. The smell of living plants, of water that isn't toxic, travels far on the sulfur wind. You don't have to wait long. She comes at dawn, Rubidia atrox, 3 meters of evolved killing machine. But something's wrong with her too. Her left foreleg drags slightly. Her breathing is labored. The great predator is dying, just more slowly than her prey. The Scutosaurus herd responds like they've done this before. The juveniles move to the center. The adults form a circle, their armored backs facing outward, their small but sharp beaks ready. They don't run. Where would they go? The Rubidia circles the formation, looking for weakness. In the old world, she would have tested them, maybe tried to separate a youngster. But she doesn't have the energy for tactics anymore. She needs food now, or she'll be too weak to hunt tomorrow. She charges. The impact is tremendous. Her saber teeth meet the Scutosaurus's shoulder armor with a crack that echoes through the valley. The herbivore bellows, staggers, but doesn't fall. The armor holds. The Rubidia's left fang breaks, spinning away into the dust. She retreats, mouth bloody, and something changes in her eyes. It's not defeat, it's recognition. The rules have changed. The old strategies don't work. The prey has become too desperate to be prey anymore. The valley holds its breath as predator and prey lock eyes. Then, incredibly, the Rubidia turns away. Not to leave, but to drink from the stream. The Scutosaurus watch but don't attack. For this moment, in this dying forest, a truce holds. Tomorrow they might kill each other. Today, they're all just trying to survive one more sunset. Beneath your feet, the real survivors are building a civilization that won't be recognized for what it is until 250 million years in the future. The ground here in the Karoo Basin is honeycombed with tunnels, and you're about to witness the greatest architectural project of the Permian. The entrance is almost invisible, just a depression in the cracked earth, hidden beneath a dead Glossopteris log. But as you descend, following the path carved by countless clawed feet, the temperature drops 15 degrees. The killing heat of the surface fades. You can breathe without feeling your lungs burn. This is the underground city of the cysticephalids. These small therapsids, no bigger than house cats, have done something remarkable. They haven't just dug burrows, they've created an interconnected network spanning several square kilometers. Tunnels linked to chambers, chambers to galleries, galleries to other tunnel systems. It's a three-dimensional maze that would challenge modern engineers. In the main chamber, 30 meters from any entrance, you find them. Dozens of cysticephalids clustered together, their flat skulls and powerful digging claws at rest. But they're not sleeping. They're waiting. The matriarch, identified by her size and central position, suddenly lifts her head. She's detected something through ground vibrations. Her specialized inner ear, evolved for subterranean life, can distinguish between the footfall of a Lystrosaurus, potential tunnel mate, and a Mascarinus, death from above. A series of clicks and low-frequency calls ripples through the colony. It's a language you don't understand, but the response is immediate. Juveniles retreat to deeper chambers. Adults position themselves at tunnel choke points. Everyone knows their role. The vibrations grow stronger. Something big is walking above. Multiple somethings. Then comes the sound every burrower dreads. Digging. A Theriognathus, a smaller gorgonopsid, has discovered the colony. Its claws, designed for disemboweling prey, now tear at the earth. It knows there's food down here. It can smell the concentration of warm bodies. But the cysticephalids have faced this before. They have contingencies. The tunnel system isn't random. It's designed with collapsing sections, false passages, and emergency exits. As the predator digs down, the cysticephalids evacuate through pre-planned routes. The matriarch stays until the last, using her own body to block a crucial junction, giving the young time to escape. The Theriognathus breaks through, its snarling face appearing in the tunnel like a nightmare. It lunges for the matriarch. She doesn't run. Instead, she triggers the trap. Her powerful hind legs kick out specific support structures. The tunnel ceiling, weakened by design, collapses. The predator vanishes in a cloud of dust and falling earth. Its roars become muffled, then silent. The matriarch emerges from a hidden side passage, dusty but alive. She's done this before. They all have. In this new world where the surface means death, the cysticephalids have become the masters of a different realm. Above ground, the temperature hits 50 degrees Celsius. Below, in the burrow city, life continues. They've learned to farm fungi on stored plant matter. They've developed birthing chambers with perfect humidity. They've created something that won't be seen again until ants perfect it millions of years later. True underground agriculture. The last reliable water hole in 1,000 square kilometers has become neutral ground by necessity. You're positioned on a ridge overlooking this miraculous pool, fed by an underground spring that somehow hasn't been poisoned yet. What you're about to witness breaks every rule of predator and prey. It starts at dawn. The Lystrosaurus arrive first. Not the ocean refugees, but a land-based herd that survived by following water. They approach cautiously, their tusks ready, but they're not watching for predators, they're checking the schedule, because there is a schedule now. Next come the Pariasaurs, the massive Scutosaurus leading 3 smaller relatives. They position themselves on the north side of the pool, always the north. They drink slowly, deliberately, their armored bodies creating a living wall between the water and the dead forest beyond. Then you see something that shouldn't exist. Inostrancevia, the apex predator, walking slowly toward the same water. The Lystrosaurus don't flee. The Scutosaurus don't form defensive circles. The giant Gorgonopsid approaches the pool's east side, lowers its massive head, and drinks. The truce is unspoken but absolute. A young Lystrosaurus, probably born after the rules were established, starts to panic. Its mother blocks its retreat with her body, forcing it to stay, to learn. Running means death. Staying means survival. The predator drinks for 3 minutes. You count the seconds, then retreats back into the wasteland. By noon, the pool has hosted 17 species, predators and prey, separated by mere meters, ignoring instincts older than mountains. A Jonqueria, one of the last surviving dinocephalians, shares the south edge with a pack of therocephalians. A Mascarinus drinks downstream from the very dicynodonts it would normally hunt. But watch their eyes. Every creature remains ready. Muscles coiled, breathing controlled. This isn't peace. It's mutually assured destruction delayed by mutual need. The system breaks only once. A juvenile Lycanops, driven mad by hunger and heat, breaks protocol. It lunges for an elderly Diectodon drinking at the pool's edge. The response is instant and universal. Every creature, predator and prey alike, turns on the rule breaker. The Lycanops is dead in seconds, torn apart by the very species that should be fleeing from it. Its body is dragged away from the water, left as a warning. As the sun sets, painting the pool red with reflected light, you understand what you're really seeing. This isn't cooperation. It's not evolution. It's the mathematical precision of survival. Every creature here has calculated the same equation. The calories burned fighting exceed the calories gained from winning. In a world where every joule of energy matters, violence has become too expensive. The waterhole schedule continues. Dawn for small herbivores, morning for giants, noon for predators, evening for the desperate, night for those who have nowhere else to go. Tomorrow, if the spring still flows, they'll do it again. If it doesn't, the truce ends. and the Permian's final massacre begins. But tonight, under stars dimmed by atmospheric sulfur, lions and lambs drink from the same pool, united in their shared march toward extinction. The morning starts wrong. The sun, which should be orange through the sulfur haze, is green. You've never seen green sunlight before. Nothing in Earth's history has produced green sunlight. Until now, the hydrogen sulfide has finally reached critical mass. You watch from a rocky outcrop as the green dawn illuminates a scene from hell. Every creature that survived the heat, the acid, the starvation, they're all dying now. Not from predation, not from temperature, from breathing. A Rubigia stumbles out of its cave shelter, the mighty predator reduced to staggering like a drunk. Its powerful lungs, evolved to fuel pursuit predation, now work against it. Every breath pulls in more poison. It makes it 12 steps before collapsing, its mighty frame convulsing as hydrogen sulfide shuts down its cellular respiration. The small creatures die first, a family of Diictodon that survived everything. Predators, heat, drought, simply stop moving. One moment they're foraging for the last remaining roots, the next, they're still. No struggle, no sound. The hydrogen sulfide doesn't allow for dramatic deaths. But then you notice something extraordinary. Not everything is dying. In a small pool of water turned purple by sulfur bacteria, a group of Proterosuchids continues to move. Their primitive metabolism, closer to their ancient amphibian ancestors, processes the poison differently. They're sick, weakened, but alive. Evolution hasn't just selected for the fittest, it's selected for the biochemically weird. A Thrinaxodon, a small cynodont that shouldn't exist yet, emerges from its burrow. Its advanced mammal-like metabolism should make it more vulnerable to the poison, but it's developed something unprecedented. It's breathing differently. Shallow, rapid breaths through its nose with long pauses between. It's limiting its exposure, rationing its poison intake. The cysticephalids in their underground cities seal their tunnels. They've detected the gas through chemical receptors none of the surface dwellers possess. Their burrow system becomes an isolation chamber. They'll stay underground for weeks if necessary, surviving on stored fungi and minimal oxygen. In the ocean, the disaster is different but equal. The hydrogen sulfide has turned the water purple-pink. The bacteria that produce it bloom in massive sheets, covering thousands of square kilometers. Fish die by the millions, their bodies forming rafts of decay that stretch to the horizon. Yet in the deepest parts of the ocean, near volcanic vents where sulfur has always been present, ancient bacteria thrive. They've been waiting for this moment for 1 billion years. The ocean isn't dying, it's reverting to something older, more primitive, more alien. By midday, the green sun has become purple. The atmosphere itself is changing color as different wavelengths scatter through poison clouds. You're watching the sky die. A Gorgonops, one of the last, drags itself toward the poisoned ocean. It knows it will die either way, but instinct drives it toward water. It reaches the waves just as its nervous system shuts down. The last of the saber-toothed predators dies with its feet in purple water, under a purple sky, in a world that no longer has room for giants. The Permian doesn't end with a meteor. It ends with chemistry, turning the entire planet into a gas chamber. In the toxic twilight of the Permian, you witness something that will define the next 200 million years of life on Earth. The survivors aren't the strongest or the largest. They're the ones who learn to live with poison. A small archosaur, not much bigger than a lizard, scurries past the corpse of an Inostrancevia. This tiny creature's efficient metabolism and small size mean it needs less oxygen, less food, less everything. Its sprawling gait has shifted to something more upright, conserving energy with each step. In its DNA lies the blueprint for dinosaurs, though that triumph is still 20 million years away. Near the last functioning waterhole, now more sulfur than water, a group of Lystrosaurus has made an impossible adaptation. They're filter feeding, using their tusks and beaked mouths to strain purple bacteria from the poisoned water. They're eating the very organisms that are killing everything else. Their digestive systems, by pure chance, can process these toxic bacteria into energy. These pig-sized survivors will inherit the Earth. In the early Triassic, Lystrosaurus will comprise 95% of all land vertebrates. One species, born from desperate adaptation to poison, will dominate every continent. It's the greatest success story born from the greatest disaster. But the real inheritors are smaller still. In the underground cities, the cynodonts are changing. The poison has selected for those with the most efficient metabolisms, the best temperature regulation, the most sophisticated breathing systems. They're developing what will become the mammalian diaphragm. They're growing specialized teeth for processing different foods. They're becoming warm-blooded in a world where cold-blooded creatures are cooking in their own skins. A Thrinaxodon mother nurses her young in a burrow. Not with milk, not yet, but with secretions from specialized glands. She's invented parental care beyond anything the Permian has seen. Her offspring have a survival rate of 40%, while everything else measures survival in single digits. Above ground, the world is unrecognizable. The temperature has stabilized at a hellish 60 degrees Celsius at the equator. The oceans are purple-pink with sulfur bacteria. The sky alternates between green and purple depending on which gases dominate that day. Acid rain falls with a pH that dissolves bones on contact. Yet life persists in the margins. Fungi explode across the dead world, feeding on the greatest mass of corpses in Earth's history. They form forests of mushrooms taller than the dead trees they're consuming. For a brief period, fungi will be the dominant vegetation on Earth, creating a landscape that won't exist before or after this moment. In the sea, the disaster creates opportunity for the opportunists. Jellyfish, barely changed since the Cambrian, flourish in the acidic waters. Bacteria that haven't dominated since Earth's early days suddenly find themselves in familiar chemistry. The ocean reverts to something primordial, and primordial life thrives. As you observe this transformation, you realize you're not watching an ending. You're watching a beginning. Every mass extinction is also a mass opportunity. The creatures dying around you held ecological niches for millions of years. Now those niches are empty, waiting for something new. The Permian ends not with extinction, but with potential. Dawn doesn't come on the last day of the Permian. The sun rises, but through so much atmospheric poison that the world remains twilight dark. This is it, the final hours of an era that lasted 47 million years. You stand on what was once a thriving coastal plain. Now it's a graveyard that stretches beyond the horizon. The bones aren't even white anymore. They're stained purple and green from the chemical rain. Some still have skin attached, mummified by the toxic atmosphere that kills bacteria faster than it kills large animals. The last Rubigia died 3 days ago. You watched it happen. The magnificent predator, reduced to eating sulfur bacteria and its own kind, simply stopped moving mid-step. Its body still stands, frozen in its final stride, a monument to failed adaptation. But impossibly, something moves in the chemical haze. A mother Lystrosaurus and her single surviving offspring navigate through the bone field. They're the last large vertebrates you've seen in weeks. Their skin is covered in lesions from acid exposure. Their eyes are milky from sulfur burns, but they're walking towards something with purpose. You follow them to witness the Permian's final act. They found it, a crack in the earth where clean water still flows. Not much, just a trickle from deep aquifers that haven't been contaminated yet. The mother drinks first, then pushes her offspring forward. As the young one drinks, she stands guard, though there's nothing left to guard against. Then the earth shudders. The Siberian traps, the volcanic system that started this apocalypse, are entering a new phase. The ground cracks. Lava fountains burst through the surface a kilometer away. But it's not the lava that's terrifying. It's the gas. A wall of carbon dioxide and methane races across the plain, visible as a dark wave against the poisoned sky. The mother Lystrosaurus sees it coming. She positions herself between the gas and her offspring, as if her body could shield against chemistry. It's futile. It's pointless. It's the most heartbreaking act of love in a dying world. The wave hits. The mother falls first, her larger lungs taking in more poison. The offspring tries to nudge her awake, doesn't understand why she won't move. It curls against her cooling body and closes its eyes. But here's the miracle that defines life
Whimper.
itself. It doesn't die. Something in its metabolism, some random mutation selected by this hell, allows it to process the poison just enough to survive. It will wake in 3 hours, the last of its kind in this region, and begin walking north. It will find others. Not many, but some. They will breed. They will adapt. They will inherit an empty Earth. As you pull back, watching the continent-sized funeral that Earth has become, you see the other survivors making their moves. Tiny archosaurs emerging from caves, cynodonts ventilating their burrows, fungi spreading across the carnage like organic snow. The Permian period ends at exactly midnight, though no clock marks the moment. The Triassic begins with 95% of all species dead, the ocean transformed into an alien chemistry set, and the land carved into a hellscape. But it begins! Because life, even reduced to desperate fragments hiding in poisoned mud, refuses to end. The greatest dying in Earth's history becomes the greatest redistribution of evolutionary opportunity. In 20 million years, dinosaurs will walk where Inostrancevia hunted. In 250 million years, humans will dig up these bones and piece together this story. They'll call it the Great Dying, but they're wrong. It was the Great Becoming. The water is still safer than land as the Permian ends, but not for much longer. Life is already planning its return to the killing grounds, carrying the lessons learned in poison and pain. Tomorrow, the Triassic dawn will break over an empty world, and life will fill it again.